Hey guys, Mr. West here. Listen, I want to encourage you guys to build in silence, okay? That means a lot to me. I would say about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I started a YouTube channel where I just focused on push-ups. All I did was push-ups, right? And I started that channel because I wanted to feel better and I wanted to get in shape. The reason for starting the channel isn't important. It was the idea behind the channel. I wanted to have a place where I can come and be accountable. I wanted to have a place where I could see my progress and have to be accountable. Okay? So I started that channel. And on that channel, I never said one word. I've never said one word on that channel ever. I respond to comments, but I never speak on that channel. I show up, I do my workouts, and then I go about my day. The reason why I'm trying to encourage you to build in silence and why that is so important to me is because as a result of starting that channel, making the decision to start it, and following through with just doing that very first push-up, right? It built something up in me. First and foremost, what it built up inside of me was it got the good feeling that I wanted. I just wanted to feel good and to get into shape, okay? I felt like crap all the time. And I knew that fitness was something that a lot of people do when they want to change their life. I started with push-ups. I would say that I mastered push-ups. All I did every single day was I got on that ground, and I did my push-ups. And I focused on every single bit, every aspect of a push-up. I'm talking about where you put your hands, your wrists, where your shoulders, how you place your elbows, where you place your shoulders, all of those things, all the way down to the very smallest detail. And I did that because I wanted to get really good at them. Once I already got that good feeling, and I already started to see a little bit of results, I wanted to become really good at that, right? But I don't think that I would have ever gotten to that place where I wanted to become really good at something if I hadn't started in the first place, right? And as a result of that channel, I have friends from lots of different countries, okay? And I remind you, I've never said one word other than responding to the comments, right? But in certain areas across the world, I'm known for discipline. I'm known as the push-ups guy, right? So that right there started to create a different identity in me. I no longer was just doing them just to feel better. My identity started to expand. I started to think of different possibilities, and the feeling that I was getting from doing the physical activity, following through on what I said I was going to do, and getting a positive feedback from people just kept that good feeling going, kept that momentum going, right? But long before anybody ever said anything kind to me on that channel, the first comments were very unkind, okay? I'm a skinny guy. I know how I look. I've heard all of the different skinny jokes. Maybe not all of them, Maybe you know some good ones, let me know. That shit don't bother me now, right? But when I first started, I would get comments like, this guy stopped doing meth long enough to do some push-ups and shit like that, right? I've never touched meth in my life, right? I was an alcoholic, and I like to smoke weed. But I've never done anything other than that. I've tried shrooms a couple times. Again, not important. What's important is all of these things and this demeanor that I have and the way that I carry myself and things like that. That all became possible because I decided to build in silence. Okay? Like I said, there were some unkind comments. And I left those comments up so that I could see them. Because when I would reflect back, because, if you stick with something long enough, you're going to get results. Okay? That is how it goes. Good or bad results, I can't promise you that, but you're going to get results. Me personally, I stuck with the push-ups. I got good results, at least for my little skinny ass, right? I felt good. But before all that, I had to, like I said, I kept those comments up so that I could reflect on and look back at those comments. Because those people ended up eating their own words anyways, right? Because the way that I look now is not how I looked when I first started. The way I feel now is not how I felt when I first started. And so I knew that, one, if I was going to continue doing this, I would have to continuously make different changes in my life, different choices, right? Because the push-ups became very important to me. Like I said, it was creating a new identity. I was becoming a new person. At least I was expanding on the person that I was. Maybe that's a better way of saying it, instead of like pick an identity or form a new identity. Maybe the better way to say is I expanded on the person that I was. I replaced things that were unhealthy with things that were healthy. Okay. But but in doing all that stuff, it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable, the things that they were saying to me. It was uncomfortable, the fact that I wasn't getting the results that I wanted right away, right? Because I'm an instant gratification guy. It's probably why I paint houses for a living. I love to see the results of what I'm doing right away. Okay. And you don't get that when you start working out, when you start, making any sort of probably healthy changes in your life. You don't get to see the results right away. And everybody knows that. The work doesn't show until it shows, right? But you stick with something long enough, you'll start to see the results. But long before that, you got to get through that period. And that's the identity expanding period, I would say, right there, is where you go from who you were to who you are. And this is that period in between, where the old you is pulling you back and your old feelings are pulling you back, and the way that you thought is still pulling you back, and you're just focused on whatever it is that you're focused on. Again, for me, it was I wanted to feel better. I wasn't like, I want to completely change my whole life or anything, which I have done, but it's just taken steps, But one of the best things that I ever did was just decide to start doing those push-ups, start getting physical, right? And I think even with my upcoming content, I think a whole lot better when I'm moving anyway. So I'll probably start to incorporate my workouts into my videos. One of the first things that I'm going to be starting with is pull-ups. I haven't done pull-ups in years. And I just got, see that thing right there? I just got that pull-up bar 3 days ago. And I put it together and everything. And I went and did some pull-ups on it, and you could tell that I haven't done them in a few years. It was pathetic. But I know from my own experience of what I've done with myself, with just push-ups, that if I stick with that long enough, they're going to look stupid at first. They're going to look bad. They're going to look messy. People are going to make fun of me. But I would venture to say that even those people that are making fun of me, right, or that those people are very likely not doing pull-ups, not working out, not, making positive differences and things like that. Generally, people who are doing really well or just doing better than you, generally, if they're in a decent place in life, they don't usually punch down. They don't usually push people down. They usually pull people up. So anybody that's saying anything negative about you when you're trying to do something positive or healthy, just don't even pay no attention to those people, okay? Those people suck for a reason. But no, build in silence, okay? Be willing to make the decision to start. Be willing to start with something small. I started with push-ups. I started with that very first push-up. And, even though I can do them really well now, and they're recognized across the world in certain circles, I'm not trying to have a big old head. Yeah, forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, because I took the time to do that first push-up, it led to the second one. And I got the feeling that I wanted. And I've started to see the results that I would. I mean, I've gotten good results for just push-ups, And if I was to, do my pull-ups and work on my biceps and things like that, I could have some good-looking arms. I could do something more with this chest here, right? And so maybe instead of just running my mouth, like I said, maybe instead of just running my mouth, I'll start to incorporate those into the videos. And maybe on this channel, I can be working out and talking as opposed to just working out. If anybody who does want to check out that other channel, by the way, it's called OG Mr. West, On Purpose. Now, soon I'm going to change the name because that's a little clunky the way that it is. But yeah, that channel went from the Push-Ups channel, Mr. West, to OG Mr. West On Purpose. So that on that channel, I could start to do more than just push-ups. And I can put my money where my mouth is. And I suggest that I encourage all you loudmouths, everybody that's got something negative to say in someone's comment section, join me for these workouts. Let's see if you still feel so negative or still feel like, talking shit to people after you got a good pump in, after you got a good workout. Very likely, you're not going to be feeling like talking shit to people, making them feel bad about themselves. You most likely will want to pull them up. And if you do say something to someone when you're in that state of mind, it's going to be something to try to pull them up. Even if it's just a kick in the ass, you're going to follow it up with some love. And that's the way it should be done anyways. I have no problem saying things to people, but it's got to be followed up with love. All right. Anyways, that's what's been on my mind. You guys have a great rest of your day on purpose, okay? God bless you. I'm out of here.